Hello, and welcome to yet another retro channel from my dining room. A while back, I made a friend. Yeah, I know. Took me by surprise, too. His name is Lee, and we met through YouTube. Lee runs the More Fun Making It and More Fun Making It 2 YouTube channels. If you haven't seen those, you really, really should. I'll leave links to them in the description below. Wait, don't go there yet. That's not the end of the story. Lee's been organizing and hosting annual charity events to support a cause that he's really passionate about. He and his family have been personally touched by this group, and this is his way of giving back. I'll let him explain more because he does a much better job of it than I do.
Hi, I'm Lee from the YouTube channel More Fun Making It, and this year I'm raising money for the Befriending Scheme. The Befriending Scheme is an organisation that provides friendship and learning opportunities for vulnerable adults across Suffolk here in the UK. My own son Thomas enjoys working at the Red Rose Community Farm, run by the scheme, where he's able to build and maintain friendships as well as learn useful skills and engage in meaningful activities. He especially loves to care for the many animals on the farm, but I suspect his favourite thing is hanging out with his friends. The money we aim to raise this year will be used to fund acquiring some miniature donkeys to live on the farm. That's right, donkeys come in mini size too. On the 19th of October, I'll be hosting a 12-hour live stream with lots of retro and vintage tech YouTubers from all over the world. And during the day, all of the auctions I and others have been preparing will be ending, hopefully raising a huge heap of money to buy those donkeys. The theme of this year's event is Commodore, and we'll have lots of different Commodore machines ranging all the way from the KIM 1 right up to an amazing Amiga 1200 in a big box checkmate case. As well as all the stuff I'll be selling, lots of my YouTube chums will be auctioning off their own items with all of the proceeds going to the cause. And I suspect the video you're watching right now is all about one of those items. So if you'd like to bid on something or just come along and watch the stream, you can find links to everything you need in the description. If you can't make it but would like to donate, there's a Just Giving page which you can find in the same place. Thank you, and on with the video!
Lee puts his heart and soul into these events, and he's been running himself ragged trying to put this one together. Building and repairing machines and upgrades to sell, scheduling and setting up the live stream, herding a bunch of cats, organizing a bunch of YouTube content creators to help organize donations of machines to sell and to appear as guests on the live stream, all while trying to keep his real life from getting too chaotic, which lately has been a bit of a challenge. If you couldn't tell, Lee's British and lives a quarter of the way around the world from me. If I lived closer, I'd be doing a lot more to help him out, but as it is, all I can really do is participate in the live stream as one of his guests and be one of those donating an item for sale in the auctions to raise the money to buy those mini donkeys. One of the best things about these events is that they show just how this retro community can come together to do some good. All Lee had to do was ask, and everybody joined in to support it. Take the list of guests, for example. He's got some proper YouTube royalty lined up for this. I personally feel a little unworthy of the company that I'll be keeping. I'll be joining the stream from 2 to 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time in the same block as Adrian Black, Polymat, and Matt from Retro Bits, aka the Yanks. That's 7 to 9 p.m. British summertime. There will be a block featuring the Aussies, one for hardware guys, one for software guys, one called Dave's House Party with Velociraptor Dave and friends, and finally a lucky dip at the end where some of us may rejoin for a while to help Lee out if he's wearing a bit thin by then. So what am I selling? As if you can't see it here in front of me. Well, as Lee said, this year's theme is Commodore, and he's got everything from a KIM 1 up to an Amiga 1200. Some of these machines Lee has built himself, and there'll be links in the description below to where you can watch those builds. Most of these items will be sold in the UK, but because he wanted to include the international audience this time, he's asked a few of us from around the world if we'd like to contribute, and he's definitely had some people step up. I don't have anything so rare as a Kim 1 or Mini Pet, so instead I decided to donate my best example of a more common item, the Commodore 64, Red Bin Edition. I got this machine at an estate sale back in 2023 from the original owner. The box itself is in relatively good shape considering it's 40 years old, and actually still has the serial number label on it, which matches the serial number label on the Commodore 64 itself. It comes, as you see, with this nifty leatherette dust cover. And the 64 itself. Now, this machine was black screen when I got it, and I repaired it on a live stream back in July of 2023. I'll put a link to the live stream in the description below if you want to take a look at that. This machine was the first hour of the 3-hour live stream and would have been shorter if I hadn't had such a good time interacting with the viewers. In the end, the only thing that turned out to be wrong with it was a bad kernel ROM. At the time, I replaced that with an EEPROM, but I've since gone back and replaced that with an original MOS kernel ROM. This is actually a gorgeous example of a 250407 board. It now has all original large MOS ICs and no MOS branded logic or MT RAM. In fact, it has a full set of beautiful ceramic gold-lidded RAM. It includes a 6581 SID, a 6567 R8 NTSC VIC2, and an original MOS PLA, all fully working. It's passed all diagnostic tests, including the test harness. Since the live stream, I've also done the following. I washed the motherboard in warm soapy water, allowed it to fully dry, and retested it with diagnostics and harness to make sure no damage had been done. I added heat sinks to the large ICs to help them live a long and happy life. The case has been carefully and thoroughly washed and retrobrited. I don't usually recap C64s when I restore them because in general they just don't need it. In this case, though, since I was going to sell this for charity and I wanted to give the buyer a machine in the best condition I could and one that would provide them with years of enjoyment, I went ahead and bought a cap kit from Console 5 and did the recapping. Finally, I disassembled and cleaned the keyboard, which is fully working. I chose not to retrobrite the keycaps because I've had issues in the past with that discoloring keys. I didn't want to take a chance. The box comes complete with the cardboard insert that holds the accessories and both styrofoam or polystyrene pieces, though the right hand one is split in half. It also comes with some of the original paperwork that came with it and the original user's manual. The original RF cable, TV game switch box, and Valen also come with it. So if you happen to have a TV with an analog tuner and RF input, you can hook up old school. You have everything you need. The original power supply did also come with it. But for those of you who may not know, those power supplies are commonly referred to these days as the brick of death. That's because Commodore, in their infinite wisdom and an overabundance of caution, potted the electronics inside by filling it with an epoxy resin to fireproof the power supply. Now, I've never actually heard of a house fire being caused by a faulty Commodore 64 power supply, so maybe it worked. What it does definitely do is trap the heat from the 7805 5-volt voltage regulator in the epoxy near the regulator itself. This heat can cause the regulator to fail, and if it does, a common failure mode for a 7805 voltage regulator is to short input to output, meaning that instead of getting a nice, safe 5 volts, you pass something between 10 and 13 volts to the Commodore 64. Now, that rail provides power for most of the internal electronics, everything except the SID and the VIC2. And those chips don't take kindly to getting 10 to 13 volts on their VCC. Maybe this didn't happen as often as people tended to make out, but it did happen. In fact, if you watched my recent repairathon, I had one machine that I'm pretty sure that happened to. As a result, I won't be including the original power supply in this sale, at least not unmodified. But you do need a power supply, so I have a couple of options. The first is this. This is a safe power supply that I built myself. The case is 3D printed, and the cables are salvaged from an original brick of death. Inside is a transformer to provide the 9 volts AC, and a meanwhile switching power supply with both overcurrent and overvoltage protection to provide the 5 volts DC that the Commodore 64 needs. The alternative is that I might be able to squeeze in rebricking the original power supply. What that involves is freeing and removing the epoxy block from the case, salvaging and cleaning the cables, cleaning the case, and then building a similar set of internal electronics to what I described in the 3D printed power supply. I only have a few days left before I need to list the auction, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to get that done in time. Either way, the listing will tell you which specific power supply you're going to get. Also, I'll go ahead and put that information here for you. Now, you'll find a lot of listings on eBay for cleaned, refurbished, tested, and working Commodore 64s. So why should you buy this one? Well, apart from the fact that it's for charity, most of the other listings you'll see are just for the C64 itself. You don't get a power supply, you don't get an AV solution, you don't get any way to load software. I wanted this offering to include as much as possible, so you'll be able to get up and running with your new Commodore 64 quickly and easily. That's why I'm including a safe power supply. I'm also including this little AV breakout device, which plugs into the back of the Commodore 64 and provides you with S-video, composite, audio, and audio input if you wanted to do that. This plugs into the back of the Commodore 64, into the AV port, doesn't block your other ports, and lets you connect to a monitor or television of your choice. All you'll need to supply are some cables. I could have included cables with this. It's not a very big ad, but I don't know how long cables you need for your particular setup, so I've left that to you. What you'll need next is a way to load software. Now, I could have included a 1541 disk drive, but because of the heavy transformer inside, they add a lot of weight, and it would have added a huge amount of shipping costs, which might not be of much value because you would still then need to get a hold of some disk-based software or make your own. I could also have included a C2N dataset, but cassette software wasn't big here in the States, and as a result, it can be hard to come by and expensive. But what I've done instead is provide a modern solution, the Kung Fu Flash cartridge. This comes with the loaded micro SD card, software already loaded onto it. All you need to do is plug it into the cartridge port of the Commodore 64, boot your 64 up, choose the software you want to run from the menu, and off you go. I won't be including a monitor. I don't have an appropriate monitor to sell with this, and I wouldn't be willing to ship one anyway because they're notorious for being damaged in transit. As I said, with either the RF output or the composite or S-video output from the adapter, you should be able to hook up to a monitor or television that you already may have in your home. The final thing you'll need to get up in gaming is one or more controllers. I could have included a simple joystick in this lot, but people have strong preferences as to what kind of controllers they want to use. Some people like a particular type of joystick, some like D-pads, etc. I personally use an old Atari style joystick, but a lot of people actually hate those. So I'm going to leave it up to you to source the controller or controllers you're happiest with. And there you have it. The auction should be live by the time this video is published and should be timed to end while I'm a guest on the live stream. There'll be a link to the auction in the description below, along with links to other information about the charity, the live stream, and the other items being auctioned. We'd really appreciate it if you'd set aside some time on Saturday, the 19th of October, to join us for the live stream. It's scheduled to start at 11 a.m. British Summer Time, which is 6 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and it should run for 12 hours. We don't expect you to be there for all of it, but if you could spend some time with us, that'd be great. Thank you for watching, and thank you in advance for your generosity in helping us support this worthy cause. This community can do a lot of great stuff when it comes together. I look forward to seeing you all on the live stream. Until then, be safe and be happy. Bye.